Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Daphne is Ridge Forrester's biological daughter. The moment unfolds not with subtlety, but with all the theatrical flair BMB fans expect from a show steeped in high fashion, passion, betrayal, and power plays. This revelation doesn't just impact Ridge and Daphne, it threatens to unravel years of lies, reframe decades of relationships, and spark a power shift across Forrester creations that could change everything forever. It all begins when Daphne, determined to learn the truth about her parentage after a series of cryptic conversations and inconsistencies in her adoption records, secretly orders a DNA test following an unexpected emotional conversation with Taylor Hayes. Taylor, who's always been deeply intuitive, suspected something was off from the beginning. Her interactions with Daphne left her uneasy, though she couldn't place why. But when she saw a photograph of Daphne's mother from years ago, a long-repressed memory was triggered. Taylor recalled a time of grief and emotional vulnerability, a time she had tried to forget, and that's when it hit her. Daphne's mother was someone Taylor once counseled at a clinic years ago, shortly after a mysterious incident involving Ridge during a break in his relationship with Brooke. The DNA results come back, and the truth is undeniable: Ridge Forrester is Daphne's biological father. The news sends shockwaves through Los Angeles, starting with Ridge himself. At first, he's in disbelief. A man who's lived most of his adult life surrounded by secrets is suddenly forced to face one of the most painful, a daughter he never knew he had. The guilt is immediate. Ridge is tormented by all the time he missed, all the milestones, all the birthdays, all the father-daughter moments that were stolen by circumstance or perhaps manipulation. But who knew the truth? Was it Taylor, who may have repressed the trauma? Was it someone inside Forrester, like Eric or Stephanie, who once moved heaven and earth to protect the family name? Meanwhile, Daphne is caught between fury and heartbreak. For her entire life, she felt like a stranger in her own skin, unsure of her place in the world. Now she knows why. She wasn't just adopted, she was erased. Hidden. Forgotten. The fact that Ridge never knew is small consolation. Her first instinct is to push him away, especially given his reputation for emotional complexity and, let's face it, infidelity. But part of her, the part that's still a little girl aching for identity, wants desperately to know him. She wants answers, closure, connection. She wants to understand how she could have been left out of a family that's so visible, so influential, so powerful. The fallout is massive. Brooke is blindsided. Not only does she have to accept that Ridge had a child with another woman during one of their numerous breakups, but the existence of Daphne reopens a door Brooke thought had long been closed. The returnable jealousy, betrayal, and regret eats at her as she tries to play supportive partner while internally spiraling. Could this be the crack in her renewed relationship with Ridge? Could Taylor, who now shares a biological grandchild with Ridge, use this as her re-entry point into his heart? Steffi and Thomas are equally shaken. Steffi, ever the protector of Forrester integrity, doesn't trust Daphne, not yet. She questions her motives, especially since Daphne's recent ascent within the company has coincided with her digging into her past. Thomas, on the other hand, feels something else: curiosity, and maybe a little guilt. As someone who's made his own share of morally gray choices, Thomas sympathizes with Daphne's identity crisis and wants to connect. But how does one go from rival or stranger to sibling overnight? Then there's Carter, who's been caught in an emotional whirlwind of his own. He's shared romantic tension with both Hope and Daphne, but this new truth changes the equation entirely. As legal counsel and a Forrester executive, Carter now has to weigh his personal involvement carefully. The idea of being romantically linked to Ridge's daughter, even unknowingly, puts him in a difficult spot, especially if he hopes to maintain trust with the Forrester family. And for Hope, this changes her rivalry with Daphne dramatically. She's no longer the only princess of the fashion world, now she must share the spotlight with a newly crowned Forrester who has not only ambition but bloodlines to back it up. Eric Forrester reacts with uncharacteristic silence at first. Then, he retreats into reflection and guilt. There are whispers that he may have known about Daphne's existence for years, or at the very least suspected it. If it turns out he withheld the truth to protect the family from scandal or to avoid another public debacle, it could irreparably damage his relationship with Ridge. Donna is caught in the middle, unsure whether to defend Eric or confront him. As for Taylor, she's overcome with emotion. Not only is this a reminder of a deeply painful chapter in her life, but it's also a testament to how trauma and secrets can echo across generations. She wants to make things right, for Daphne, for Ridge, and for herself. But can she, especially with Brooke circling the emotional perimeter, quietly preparing to reassert her dominance over Ridge's heart? Deacon Sharp, Hope's father, is another wild card in all this. While he's not directly tied to the revelation, the shift in family dynamics gives him a rare moment of insight. Watching Ridge, Taylor, Brooke, and their children deal with this upheaval makes him realize how fragile connections are, and he begins to question whether he's done enough to be a real father to Hope. The ripple effects from this one revelation touch nearly every character on the canvas. Professionally, Daphne's newfound identity may propel her straight to the top, or make her a threat. Now a Forrester by blood, does she automatically inherit a stake in the company? Will she demand a leadership role, and if so, at whose expense? The boardroom at Forrester Creations becomes a minefield of politics and personal loyalties, and Zend, Ridge, and Steffi find themselves debating whether family ties should outweigh experience and merit. The fans are in for a whirlwind. The coming weeks promise emotional showdowns, DNA tests that get leaked, old flames reigniting, and enemies turning into family, literally. Will Ridge rise to the challenge of fatherhood late in life? Can Daphne ever trust a family that didn't know she existed? Will Brooke's jealousy consume her again? And what about Taylor, will she see this as a second chance with Ridge? One thing is certain, The Bold and the Beautiful has pulled off one of the most shocking paternity twists in recent memory, and it's only just beginning. The stage is set for betrayals, alliances, and emotional reckonings as Daphne takes her place, not just as a Forrester, but as a woman finally in control of her destiny. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers tease the shocking truth finally unraveling: Daphne is Hope Logan's biological sister. This revelation, long buried under secrets, manipulations, and misdirection, threatens to reshape not only familial relationships but the balance of power across Forrester Creations and beyond. For months, eagle-eyed fans speculated about Daphne's true place in the story, her uncanny resemblance to Hope, her unexplained pull toward the Logan family, and her deeply rooted curiosity about her past. And now, after DNA tests confirmed the impossible, the truth is finally in the open. Daphne, who has quietly carved her niche in the world of fashion and influence, finds herself standing at the center of a storm she never asked for. According to sources close to the storyline, this game-changing twist came as a direct result of a desperate search for answers about her origins, prompted by a conversation she overheard between Brooke and an unnamed confidant. The name Deacon Sharp came up, and it was enough to push Daphne to demand a paternity test that stunned even her. Brooke, already teetering on emotional instability following Ridge's uncertain heart and Hope's romantic ping-pong between Carter and Liam, now must face the harrowing reality that there's another daughter, a secret child she never knew she had, or worse, one she was forced to forget. Could this be the result of an affair swept under the rug by a then young, scared Brooke? Or did someone else, perhaps Stephanie Forrester, long ago orchestrate a switch to protect the family legacy from scandal? Regardless, the emotional weight of the news hits everyone differently. For Hope, the revelation is both breathtaking and heartbreaking. She's always craved stability, identity, and emotional connection. Having Daphne suddenly morph from rival to sister throws her into emotional whiplash. One minute she's trying to hold together what's left of her life after Liam's illness and Carter's lingering affections, and the next she's being asked to embrace someone she's emotionally clashed with for months, maybe years, as blood. Daphne, for her part, is stunned, conflicted, and angry. Her life has been a patchwork of confusion, abandonment issues, and emotional aloofness. To find out that the mother she thought gave her up was actually living a glamorous, public life with another daughter, Hope, fills her with resentment and longing in equal measure. While part of her wants to run, the other part craves the connection she never had. But Daphne isn't one to play the victim. She intends to claim her place, not only as a Logan but as someone who deserves the same love, respect, and opportunities that Hope has always enjoyed. The ripple effect is instantaneous. Ridge is furious that he's been left in the dark. He starts questioning Brooke's integrity and whether she ever really told him the full truth about her past. Taylor, already suspicious of Brooke's intentions and stability, uses the moment to subtly warn Ridge, "See? Brooke's past always finds a way to catch up with her." Katie, on the other hand, is caught between loyalty to her sister and her deep compassion for Daphne, who now must navigate a totally new identity in a city where legacy and bloodlines rule everything. Carter, who once shared a romantic flame with both women, finds himself in the middle of an emotionally loaded minefield. Will his feelings for Hope resurface as her world crumbles? Or will he now find himself more drawn to Daphne, whose vulnerability and strength could ignite something deeper between them? His history of making impulsive, heart-driven decisions doesn't help matters, especially now that Ridge has entrusted him with more control at Forrester, something Daphne may soon contest. And then there's Deacon. If the DNA results are correct, and he is indeed Daphne's father, this brings him back into the center of a chaotic web of emotions and expectations. His relationship with Hope was long and difficult. Will he get it right this time with Daphne? Or will the truth dredge up old demons he's worked so hard to bury? The twist doesn't just impact the Logans. The Forresters, Spencers, and even the Buckinghams are all pulled into the fallout. Zend, who had quietly been forming a friendship, and possibly more, with Daphne, now wonders if he can still pursue her with this new identity clouding every interaction. Luna, who has her own rocky familial path, reaches out in solidarity, becoming a surprising emotional anchor for Daphne. And Steffi, always skeptical of Hope and her orbit, now finds herself oddly protective of Hope in the face of this emotional upheaval. Will this shared trauma be what finally unites the two women? Or will the revelation just shift their rivalry into a more complex, layered dynamic, now as sisters-in-law or even business competitors? Meanwhile, the question remains, how long has someone known? Were there people, perhaps Quinn or even Eric, who knew about Daphne's true lineage and chose to remain silent to avoid scandal? The possibilities are endless, and fans are already buzzing with theories. One fan-favorite theory is that Stephanie Forrester knew all along and paid someone to keep Daphne's existence a secret, seeing her as a threat to Brooke's standing in Ridge's life. Another wild twist could involve Storm Logan, who may have been entangled in Daphne's life in ways we haven't yet seen. Regardless, Daphne is here, she's a Logan, and she's not backing down. Hope and Daphne's relationship now enters uncharted territory. From rivals to sisters, the transformation won't be easy. Trust will have to be rebuilt, walls broken down, and emotions navigated with care. It's a slow burn, but one that could lead to one of the show's most powerful sisterhoods, or one of its most explosive betrayals. The audience is in for a ride, and The Bold and the Beautiful just proved once again that when it comes to drama, no one does it better. It's a moment fans of The Bold and the Beautiful won't soon forget, one filled with emotion, hesitation, heartache, and passion, as Carter Walton gets down on one knee in a move that shocks not only the woman in front of him but ripples through the Forrester family and beyond. Monday, May 26th brings an emotionally charged episode that pivots the narrative in a bold direction. Carter, always the loyal, responsible, and often heartbroken man in the shadows of other people's love triangles, finally decides to step into the spotlight and take control of his heart. But this isn't a fairy tale proposal with rose petals and violins. No, this is a high-stakes, desperate plea for love amidst uncertainty, scandal, and secrets. Carter's decision comes after weeks of emotional back and forth involving Hope Logan, Daphne, and the persistent weight of his past mistakes. With Liam's health crisis dominating headlines and emotions at Forrester Creations running high, Carter knows time is fleeting, and he's tired of waiting for the perfect moment that may never come. In his mind, there's no more room for doubt. If he doesn't act now, he may lose the woman he loves, whoever she truly is. Earlier in the day, Carter is seen wrestling with his thoughts, pacing the halls of Forrester like a man with a ticking clock strapped to his chest. He stares at the ring box in his hand, one he's been carrying for days. It's not flashy or ostentatious, it's classic, like him. Symbolic of the love he believes he's finally found. But the question weighing on his mind is, does she feel the same? The woman at the center of his heart is Hope Logan, though the shadows of Daphne's lingering interest and flirtations complicate matters. Carter has found himself at the center of a romantic web he didn't plan for. Daphne, fresh off heartbreak and desperate for purpose, confessed her love for him not long ago, and while Carter was flattered, his heart didn't leap, not like it does for Hope. Hope, for her part, has been emotionally erratic. Reeling from Liam's terminal diagnosis, torn between her love for him and the growing emotional closeness with Carter, she has confided in Carter more than once in recent weeks. He's been her anchor, her listener, her escape, and maybe, without realizing it, her safe harbor. When Carter decides that today is the day, he's not doing it with complete certainty. He's doing it with hope, the raw, unfiltered kind. He arranges a quiet moment with Hope in the Forrester showroom, away from the chaos of hospital updates and family tension. The scene is elegant but understated, much like their relationship. As Hope walks into the room, she immediately senses the intensity in Carter's eyes. He's nervous but resolved. After a heartfelt, vulnerable monologue about how much she's changed his life, how he never thought he'd get another chance at love that wasn't marred by betrayal or uncertainty, Carter slowly lowers himself to one knee. Hope's hand flies to her mouth in shock. Her heart pounds, not just because of the proposal, but because of the timing. Liam is fighting for his life. Steffi and Brooke are in conflict. Ridge is still unsure about the family business. Everything feels like it's on the verge of collapse. And yet, here is Carter, offering something solid, something real. But Hope doesn't answer immediately. Her silence stretches on painfully, and Carter starts to feel the first sting of rejection. She's not saying no, but she's also not rushing into his arms with a resounding yes. Hope begins to cry, not tears of joy, but of confusion and fear. She admits she's overwhelmed. She doesn't want to make a decision out of desperation or grief. She needs time. Carter stands, understanding etched on his face, though disappointment creeps in. He tells her there's no pressure, he just couldn't go another day without telling her how he truly feels. Outside the room, Daphne overhears just enough to confirm her worst fears. Her face crumples as she realizes she may have lost Carter for good, not because of anything she did wrong, but because his heart is simply elsewhere. Meanwhile, Liam, unaware of this moment unfolding back at Forrester, is dealing with his own emotional war. He's beginning to sense that Hope is slipping away. That her heart may already belong to someone else, and that someone is Carter. As word of the proposal begins to spread, thanks to a nosy intern who saw everything, reactions are mixed. Brooke is furious. She confronts Carter, accusing him of taking advantage of Hope while she's emotionally vulnerable. Ridge, however, has a more nuanced reaction. He pulls Carter aside and asks a simple but loaded question, "Do you love her?" When Carter says yes, Ridge nods, not with approval, necessarily, but with the resignation of a man who's watched love take wild, unpredictable turns. Then be ready to fight for her, he warns. Because this family doesn't make love easy. Meanwhile, Steffi reacts in classic Steffi fashion, skeptical, protective of Liam, and worried about the timing. She corners Hope, asking point blank if this proposal means she's abandoning Liam in his darkest hour. Hope fires back, saying she's not abandoning anyone, she's just trying to survive her own emotional storm. The two women exchange heated words before being interrupted by Thomas, who surprisingly takes Hope's side. He reminds Steffi that people fall in and out of love, and that no one, not even Liam, owns Hope's heart. The final moments of the episode are hauntingly beautiful. Hope finds herself alone with the engagement ring Carter gave her, turning it over in her hand, conflicted beyond words. Her thoughts drift to Liam's hospital room, to the man who's still fighting, to the life they shared, to the promises they made. But then she looks at the ring again and thinks about Carter, about the steadiness he's offered, the laughter he brings, and the future he's willing to fight for. She's caught between the past and the possibility of a new future. In classic BMB fashion, The cliffhanger ends on her tear-streaked face as she whispers to herself, "What do I do?" Daphne's heartbreak sends her packing as Carter chooses hope. The Nose's dreams are crushed in devastating rejection. Talk about a gut punch. Just when Daphne Rose thought she'd finally found her happily ever after with Carter Walton, the COO ripped her heart out and stomped on it. And we're still picking our jaws up off the floor. The perfumer, you know, the one Steffi Forrester originally brought in to mess with Carter and Hope Logan's heads, made the biggest mistake. She caught feelings. Real ones. The kind that make you do crazy things like, oh, I don't know, confess you're falling in love with a man who's clearly hung up on someone else. Hope is the woman I want to spend my future with. Those words. Those words. Can we talk about how Carter just destroyed this woman? Daphne poured her heart out, probably thinking when he said he'd found love again that he meant her. Plot twist. He meant hope. Always hope. Forever hope. I mean. Ouch. The devastation on Daphne's face? We felt that in our souls. And now she's doing what any self-respecting woman would do after getting her heart shattered into a million pieces. She's getting the heck out of Los Angeles. Airport drama alert, will Deuce play Cupid? Here's where things get interesting, because this is bold and beautiful, and there's always a twist. On Monday, May 26th, Deuce Stevens, yes, the Forrester family pilot played by Tom Arnold, is set to drive our heartbroken heroine to LAX. But wait. What if Deuce doesn't just drive her to the airport? What if he actually talks some sense into her? Think about it, this is the same guy who's been flying the Forresters around for ages. He's seen it all. The drama, the breakups, the makeups, the "I'm leaving forever" declarations that last about 2 episodes. Could Deuce be the voice of reason Daphne needs right now? Will he convince her that running away isn't the answer? That maybe, just maybe, she should stay and fight for the man she loves? The stakes couldn't be higher. Let's be real for a second. If Daphne gets on that plane, it's over. Done. Finito. Carter and Hope will sail off into their reunited bliss, well, until the next crisis hits, because hello, soap opera, and Daphne will become just another casualty in the never-ending Logan versus everyone else war. But if she stays? If she turns that car around and marches back to Forrester Creations? Now we're talking drama. Picture it, Daphne storming into the office, mascara slightly smudged but determination blazing in her eyes. Carter thinking he's made his choice. Hope feeling secure for once. And then boom, Daphne drops a truth bomb that changes everything. Because here's the thing, Carter and Hope have been down this road before. How many times have they broken up? Made up? Chosen other people? This isn't some epic love story, it's a pattern. A toxic, destructive pattern that Daphne could totally call out if she had the guts. What happens next could change everything. The spoilers tell us Carter's planning some grand gesture for Hope on the same day Daphne's supposed to leave. Coincidence? In soap opera land? Not a chance. What if Daphne's departure, or her decision to stay, completely derails whatever Carter has planned? What if seeing her leave makes him realize what he's losing? Or better yet, what if she stays and fights, forcing him to really examine his feelings? Look, I've been watching soaps long enough to know that no departure is ever really permanent. But Daphne Rose brought something different to this show. She wasn't just another blonde trying to steal someone's man. She was ambitious, talented, and yeah, she fell for the wrong guy at the wrong time. The real question is, will she let heartbreak drive her away, or will Monday's airport scene become the moment she decides to rewrite her story?